All right, let's talk about Anton Chekhov's brilliant little play, The Proposal. Now, on the surface, it's a comedy, a farce even. But trust me, there is so much more going on here than just a few laughs. It's basically a perfect masterclass in how to completely, utterly screw up one of the biggest moments in your life.
So let's just start with the question that gets right to the heart of this whole thing. How do you take a moment that's supposed to be happy and romantic and just turn it into an absolute train wreck? Well, as it turns out, Chekhov has a very specific, almost foolproof recipe for disaster.
And here it is in 3 easy steps. First, you're going to want to start a massive fight over a tiny patch of land that nobody really needs. Next, you escalate things by viciously insulting each other's hunting dogs. And for the grand finale, you top it all off by having a full-blown anxiety attack. It is the perfect formula for romantic failure, and it's the exact playbook our characters are about to follow.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, a most disastrous proposal.
So, picture this. It's 1888, and the Russian master, Anton Chekhov, writes this short, sharp play. It's all about a wealthy landowner trying to propose to his neighbor's daughter. Now, the goal, it's all very practical, a smart financial union. But the reality? Oh, the reality is a complete and total meltdown fueled by land, love, and a whole lot of ego.
So who are the people at the center of this storm? Well, let's meet them.
First, we have our suitor, Ivan Lomov. He's 35, he's got money, and he is an absolute nervous wreck. And his hypochondria, it's not just a funny quirk, you know? It's like all the immense social pressure he's under is literally making him sick. He's not looking for some grand romance. He's desperate for a practical wife to secure his quiet life because, well, that's just what a man of his age and status is supposed to do.
And this is the object of his proposal, Natalia Stepanovna. At 25, she's considered on the verge of becoming an old maid, which is just wild, right? So this proposal is probably her best shot at securing her future. And you can see how that underlying desperation just fuels her personality. She is fiercely strong-willed, she's argumentative, and she is basically gasoline poured on the fire of Lomov's anxiety.
And finally, we've got Natalia's dad, Stepan Chubakov. At first, he is absolutely thrilled. He can practically see the dollar signs. I mean, this is a financially brilliant match for his daughter. But the second an argument starts, all that goes out the window. He completely forgets about the marriage and jumps right into the fight to defend his family's honor.
So with a cast of characters like these, yeah, that proposal never really stood a chance. Which brings us to what they actually fight about. The art of the argument.
Think of their conflicts like an iceberg. On the surface, what you see are these really silly arguments. They're fighting over a piece of land called the Oxen Meadows or about whose dog is a better hunter. But the real issue, the huge, massive part hidden under the water, oh, that's all about stubborn pride, social status, and this desperate need to win a petty victory.
And this is where the physical comedy gets so brilliant. The arguments get so intense that Lomov's hypochondria just kicks into overdrive. His heart starts pounding, his feet go numb, and eventually he literally just collapses in a faint. To him, the stakes feel life or death, which just makes the silliness of it all even more hilarious.
But listen, this isn't just 3 people screaming at each other randomly. Chekhov is being very deliberate here. He's using some specific literary tools, his comedic weapons, to make a much bigger point. First off, the whole play is a farce. And what does that mean? Basically, it's a type of comedy that relies on totally exaggerated, almost slapstick situations. The characters are completely over the top. The arguments are just absurdly intense. And a guy physically falling apart over a land dispute, that is the very definition of a ludicrous situation. Next, you have this delicious irony. I mean, think about it. The entire reason he's there is for this big, happy, life-changing moment, a marriage proposal. Yet it gets completely forgotten again and again because they'd rather squabble over the most ridiculous things. They completely lose sight of the entire point. And this right here, this just sums it up perfectly. The moment Natalia finds out he was there to propose, she's horrified. She demands her dad bring him back immediately. But what happens the second he walks back in the door? Yep. They start a brand new fight, this time about their dogs. It's like they're stuck in a loop. They just can't help themselves.
And here is the crucial takeaway. All of this is satire. Chekhov isn't just making fun of them for a cheap laugh. He's using this farcical, ironic mess to mock the values of the Russian upper class.
He's showing how their obsession with property and status completely outweighs any kind of real human connection.
And that really gets us to the heart of the play, the whole societal context behind the chaos: marriage, money, and mayhem. See, to really get what's going on, you have to understand the world they lived in. In late 19th century Russia, for wealthy people, marriage wasn't about love. It was a business deal. It was about merging estates, consolidating wealth. Women were often seen as commodities, and financial security was the ultimate prize. This context, it explains everything about our characters' anxieties and their ridiculous behavior. So after all the fighting and the fainting and the screaming, what happens? Well, you're not going to believe this. The proposal actually happens. Right in the middle of all the chaos, Chubakov literally forces his daughter's hand into Lomov's and just declares them engaged. So happy ending, right?
Nope, not even close. The curtain falls as they immediately start arguing again about whose dog is better. The engagement solved absolutely nothing. Chekhov's final brilliant point is that this bickering, this is their marriage. This is what their life together is going to be.
And that leaves us with one last thought. Chekhov's little farce, written over a century ago, holds up a pretty sharp mirror to our own absurdities, doesn't it? It forces us to ask, how often do we let our own pride, our own ego get in the way? How often do we turn moments of potential connection into these pointless little battles over our own oxen meadows? It's definitely something to think about.